News from the table in the rolling waves. Dice in our hand, we're the dungeon's brave. Adventures tonight with our mighty team.
Sneak peek of the table of contents of the brand new 6th edition Dungeons & Dragons Dungeon Master's Guide of Dungeon Mastering Goodness is available because it was on sale this weekend over at MCM Comic Book Con in London. Street date? What the fuck is that? 900 copies managed to make it across the pond over to jolly old England and were sold. I assume all of them to Stephen Glicker. So let's take a look at the table of contents. Thank you again, Ian World, for making this available to us. I don't know why the news isn't up today. This is the only story that I've got. For anybody who's interested, here's the table of contents. Probably shouldn't come as much of a surprise to anybody. Basically, it's just how much space is wasted on things that could have actually been wasted on important things. So chapter 1 is the basics, blah, blah, blah. How to run a session, enduring fun at all, mutual respect, respect for the player, blah, blah, blah. Running the game, know your player's group size, resolving outcomes. So we got about, the basics takes up 18 pages, which probably could have covered in 2. Running the game takes up a lot of space. About 10 pages of unnecessary stuff. Then the important stuff, ability checks, saving throws, difficulty classes, improvising, running social interactions, running exploration, running combat, all the things that we want and need to see in a Dungeon Master's Guide. Then we have the DM Toolbook starting on page 50. And that's alignment, chases, like that ever works in a role-playing game, creating a role background, creating a creature, creating a magic item, creating a spell, curses and magical contagions, death, doors, dungeons, environment, fear and mental stress, gotta have those safety tools, firearms and explosives, gods or lack thereof, hazard, blah, 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 marks of prestige, I guess that's the new inspiration, poison, probably doesn't really need to be there, siege equipment, just sort of a hodgepodge of things and traps, and that goes for 50 pages. Starting on page 50 and ending on page 100. Then we have the creating an adventure, which probably repeats some of the things we already just saw. So this is page 104 to 122. You might be asking what happened to 101 to 103. Those are probably taken up by maps and art. So step-by-step adventure, lay out the premise, draw in the players, plan the encounters, bring it to an end. So 122 pages, some of which is just a repeat of the DM's toolbox. And, a lot of the early complaints about the 5e original Dungeon Master's Guide was it didn't actually tell you anything about building a game or being a DM. So this one has decided to take the opposite step and go the other way. Then we move on to chapter 5, which starts at page 126, which again makes you answer, but then OGGM, where's page 123 through page 125? And I'm assuming that again is filled up with art and maps, or Wizards of the Coast has just invented their brand new numerical system. We didn't like that page. We fired it. Get out of here, 123. Nobody likes you. Then we have a section on creating campaigns, which sounds like a repeat of the creating adventures, but we have campaign journal, campaign premise, campaign start, how to make an adventure. Then we have the Greyhawk, 30 pages of Greyhawk, most of which they've just left for you to fill in the empty space. Here's the Greyhawk setting, which you can use for a short period of time. We're not going to give you that much information on Greyhawk, so you can make up your own shit or get shit from previous stuff that we didn't bother to look up. Then when you put that stuff on D&D Beyond or DM's Guild, it becomes ours anyways, so you just did the work for us. Now, when I first complained about this, a lot of people said, oh, GGM, that's the way Greyhawk always was. There was not a lot of information available on Greyhawk at the beginning. Yeah, because he just started creating it. But over the years, there have been multiple Greyhawk campaigns, multiple Greyhawk adventures, the Greyhawk Gazetteer, which went on for a long time. So there is plenty of information available on Greyhawk. They just chose not to use it. Then we get to the cosmology, which I don't really know. This means we're back to the setting agnostic, or what? Anyways, it's not very long, but it does explain, I guess, a bit of the dimensions or the planes. Don't worry, I'm sure there will be a Planescape 6th edition to fill in the blanks. And this goes from page 172 to 180. Then on page 212, we have the section we all want, to be in the Dungeon Master's Guide. The section we're all going to turn to the first time. Let's face it, it's the treasure section. And that starts on page 212 and ends on page 326 and contains treasures, coins, trade goods, containers, magic items, cursed items, how to make a magic item, stuff like that. Magic items A to Z, and random magic item building. And we have the Bastion section starting at page 332. 326 to 332. OGGM, where are those pages? Maps. We'll be getting to that momentarily because we're almost there. But it's maps and artwork. Maps and artwork. Then we have the Bastion section, which should be in the player's handbook and not here, because especially if it's a player-centric mechanic with the DM has very little control over, from what we're reading, why is this in the DM's guide? Why this is almost 20 pages, 332 to 352 of stuff that doesn't need to be there. Isn't this a player-centric thing? Whatever. Then we have at page 354, the lore glossary. And that goes from page 354 to page 380, where we get the index. Now, if you're wondering what those missing pages are, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 maps. And then we've got tracking sheets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 tracking sheets, plus, 70 new pages of art, plus the glossary and the appendix and all the other stuff. So, yes, there you go. There is the table of contents. What are you most excited about, if anything? Like most of us, it's magic items first, right? Then it's the random tables. And then I guess we'll look at the maps and the other stuff and whatever. Now, I think there is a way to get the non-map version and get the maps separate. If you don't want that, that maybe have been a rumor or maybe not. I don't know. We'll have to ask the people who are lucky enough to be at MCM Comic Con in London and get the book there, even though it's not on sale till, a couple days from now. But Wizards, they just make shit up. Now, I guess the big question is not what's in it. It's sales numbers, because Wizards of the Coast is riding high on that big, we sold more copies of that product than any other product we've ever sold. We just did it in a roundabout kind of sneaky way, but we definitely sold more copies of the 2024 6th edition Player's Handbook than any other D&D product we've sold ever since 2014. Unless you count Tasha's, but we don't, because it's a product. We didn't say book, we said product. And the riding on the coattails of that amazing Q3 numbers where they somehow lost $1 billion, and riding on the coattails of the announcement of firing 99 employees, under 199 employees, to help the transition from Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro, Rhode Island, to the possible new home of Hasbro in Boston, where the 1,000 employees, yes, a major multi-billion-dollar worldwide corporation currently employs 1,000 people full-time. We'll have to move from Rhode Island to Boston. Yes, Boston. Park the car in the Harvard Yard. Go Red Sox. That doesn't sound Boston. That sounds British. Anyways. Yeah, there we go. That's the new DM's guide. That appears to be it for the tabletop role-playing game news today. I've checked a couple times, and there's nothing else posted. I don't know why. No list of stuff that's on the shelves. No list of bundles. I'm going to check those in a sec. But yeah, that's it for all the tabletop role-playing game news. And it's all Wizards of the Coast. Who out there is excited about the brand new Dungeon Master's Guide? Because that's going to be the big thing. It's going to be the sales, right? How well does it sell in the next 2 weeks before they forget about it and start talking about the Monster Manual? Because you notice they haven't talked about the Player's Handbook since the numbers dropped. I don't know. That's so Wizards.
Laughing aloud now, magic in the air. Wands swirl around us, cast away our care. Friends in the hallways, adventures we find. Spells and enchantments, trouble on our mind. That's so Wizards.